Welcome back to Old War Stories with Uncle Jay. No, maybe we're not. I think there's cats. Is what's happening. There's cats. Welcome back to Old War Stories with Uncle Jay. This one is entitled The Darkest Day of the Year. The darkest day of the year is obviously Black Friday. That's why it's called Black Friday. Actually, no, the reason is because retailers hope to be in the black as opposed to being in the red on Black Friday. Ha, ha, ha. Anyways, we have a lot to go over because this all deals with Black Friday, and this is a pretty timely video because I was sort of egged on to make this video, so I figured it would be a good time. I normally have my little post-it note kind of thing. I got a whole paper with stuff written down. So, like I said, we got a lot to go over. Oh boy. So, back in the day, I started working for the Wiz, and I was a cashier there, but I played the Jewish card. Sorry, I can't work Friday or Saturday. Well, Black Friday being on a Friday, they were like, shit. So that's how that went. Well, that didn't work because they knew that Shabbos is going to start at 4 p.m., something like that. So I got the worst of it. Okay, now if you think back a number of years ago when we had the trampling at Walmart on Black Friday, and there were other like shootings and brawls would break out and stuff like that. And you know what I really dislike is you can go and search for Black Friday Brawls 2022, and what you're going to see is old footage from previous years. They have pretty much gotten this under control, but by the same token, they didn't really have to. The technology came at a time when the economy was such that people were willing to spend money. So basically it starts like this. Somebody has a 27-inch CRT television. It works fine. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. But Aunt Sally, or whoever it is, decides that they should get a flat screen for Christmas. So they go out to the store and they buy a 32-inch flat screen for little Billy. So this way he can play his video games, not knowing, of course, that the old NES shoot-'em-up duck hunt controller don't work with LCDs. But of course, by that point, nobody was playing NES anymore. That's neither here nor there. The problem was the flat screen TVs came out and became popular, and the price was right, at a time in the economy when people were very willing to spend money. So this is going to date this to 03 to 06, 2003 to 2006, somewhere in there. Not exactly certain on that. It was toward the 04, 05, 06 area, I believe, but somewhere in there. Now, at Tiny Middle, that obviously didn't work, and I could not get away with having off on Black Friday, so I had to work. Electronics at the time, consumer electronics, were really taking off. I mean, there was a lot of stuff out there, and everybody had to have everything. So people were buying left and right. Tiny Middle says, okay, Black Friday, we got to get geared up. Basically, if you're going to call out, you're going to call out dead. So you were not going to have off that day. There was supposed to be, by the way, a floating holiday that was good until sometime in February, because you were forced to work on Black Friday, regardless of what shift you normally work in that. You were entitled to that day off, and I certainly was, because I worked Sunday through Thursday, which does not include Friday. Now, Thursday was Thanksgiving, and we were closed, That was, I don't know how that worked, but it did. And this, of course, was also at the time when a lot of retailers were opening up Thanksgiving Day at 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock. To hell with Thanksgiving, it's Thanksgivmas, of course, which is where that term comes from. So little Billy has this 27-inch TV, but Aunt Sally wants to buy him a 32-inch TV. And Tiny Middle had the goods. Tiny Middle had 25 of them available at a really, really hot price. In order to get that really, really hot price, you had to be one of the first 25 to maybe 50, depending, I'm going to explain, online. So people would come out and start lining up at the front door. This was in the height of it when I had to work Black Friday, like I said. And as such, here we were. The line, when I showed up, and I'll talk more about that in a minute, was already around the building. And by the time we had opened, the line had completely wrapped around this, I believe it was something in the neighborhood of 125,000 square feet store, had wrapped completely around the building and is starting to build a second line. That's how many fucking people wanted to get in there. Of course, they all wanted the 32-inch TV. But like I said, that was for the first, 25. Sometimes even only 5. So the way it worked was, you got to pick one. And we had, I don't know, 5, 7, 8 different really hot ticket items. So the manager would come out before we open, and you would have to get a ticket, an actual paper ticket, for the particular item that you wanted. So, okay, what are you here for, sir? I want the 32-inch TV. There you go, and that guaranteed that you could purchase it at that price. So you were guaranteed. So if you waited out in the cold and the rain and the snow or whatever the weather was, you were guaranteed to get it. That was nice. But if the second person says, well, I don't want the TV, I want this other item, now there's still 24 available, so now the 26th person online still has a shot at getting one of those TVs. So that's kind of how it cascaded down, because you're only allowed one ticket. Well, at the time we didn't quite know that there were going to be tramplings and shit like that, so we opened the doors and the floodgates let in. And the entire store just filled with all of these people. All to buy this 32-inch fucking TV. Now, not in the very beginning, but very soon after, the manufacturers got smart. And what they did was they, how do I explain this? They lowered the models for Black Friday. In other words, they had special models in a limited run sold specifically for Black Friday. Now, if they didn't sell out for whatever reason, you could sell them until your stock was gone, and that's fine. But TVs at the time would have multiple composite inputs. They'd have, obviously, your F connector for digital channels, and some even analog in the day. Had dual ATSC, NTSC tuners. Like I said, multiple composite inputs, maybe a couple of S-video inputs, a couple of component inputs. VGA was a thing, so they had that on them as well. You could use them as a computer monitor. And HDMI, and they had a couple of HDMI ports. So you had the gamut of fucking plug goddamn everything into this TV and sit there with your fucking remote and veg out because you have no life and video games, and this is what I do all day because I have that A thing that we can't mention because people get uptight about that. Well, I didn't go and measure it, but you also have to consider that 27-inch CRT that Billy had that there was nothing wrong with was probably promptly thrown out. And I got a few TVs, not necessarily on Black Friday, but it happened over that time because these flat TVs were getting so popular. But if you actually like measure the TV out and get, because remember it was a 4x3, more of a square type screen than a 16x9, which is a lot wider but a lot shorter. So the square inch actual viewable screen was very comparable in size. So there was absolutely no point to your getting a flat panel TV. If you were getting a much larger one, a 40-inch or a 50-something inch TV, that's of course a different story. But people were buying, of course, based on price. Well, anyway, these people would line up at Thanksgiving because they have no fucking life and they think they're getting a deal, which, as I explained, with the lack of ports, because that's what they did with the special Black Friday models, is it had like 1 or 2 HDMI ports, a composite, and your F connector for digital channels, and that was it. That's all it had. And that's it, it was a dumbed down model. So the price had to be cut somewhere, somehow. So that was one way that they did it. Now, I had to get there before the store opened. So here I was with the family on Thanksgiving, and then I had to get up at 4:30 in the morning, completely groggy. You know how like you first wake up, you could barely take a piss in the morning. You know what I'm talking about. And I had to get into my work clothes, get in the fucking car. It's pitch black outside. And be at the store by 5. We opened at 6 a.m. News bulletin! This shit doesn't go on anymore. Tiny Middle now opens at 8 a.m. Their regular normal opening time is 10 a.m. But 8 a.m. for Black Friday. And when I was there and I had to do it, it was 6 a.m. So I had to be there at 5 a.m. Did they get coffee and donuts? Maybe once. Fuck all of you, They didn't give a shit. You were working, you were their slave. Well, anyway, there was another hot deal that we had. We had this is when tablets were becoming really, really popular. Tablets were getting really popular, and they were still expensive. Well, some manufacturer, Azpen, Azpen, I can't remember if that was it. They had a tablet for Black Friday that was $25. At a time where the minimum you're going to spend for a tablet was $99, if even that, probably more like $129. And if you wanted an iPad, well, first off, you're fucked in the head. And secondly, it did nothing more than a comparably equipped Android tablet that, of course, was a lot cheaper. But the Aspen tablet was $25, and it was a 7-inch tablet, and this was a thing then, and that's all fine and good. But it ran Android-ish, but you couldn't use the Google Play Store because it was a dumbed-down model for Black Friday. So you turned it on, and you had your calculator, and your clock, and your calendar. You could set an alarm, you could set your notifications, it could check your email, and it had a web browser. And that's all you got. So if you wanted to run the Fuckbook app, you're shit out of luck. You can go to fuckbook.com and play that game. That's all fine and good. Pardon me just a moment. But if you wanted to, get apps for it, you were shit out of luck. We subsequently learned by the next year, when we still had the same tablet available for the same price, So there's your savings. We had subsequently learned that a couple of things. First of all, because they were so cheap, they were giving them to kids. And because they were giving them to kids, they would, Daddy, Mommy, Daddy, oops! And they would drop it. Now, my paper's all the way over there, so you got to pardon me a second while I get it, because I didn't expect it to fly off. Anyway, and they'd drop it, and they'd break the screen, and that's the end of the $25 tablet. That was nice. Now, at Tiny Middle, we sold extended warranties, as you might guess. Usually not worth it. At the time, it might have been for certain items, like especially like computers, because capacitor plague. You can Wikipedia that. I'm not going to get into that. You can learn about stuff on your own. I'm just giving you ideas, and it's up to you to actually want to learn something. So that way, I know nobody will. But you can read about capacitor plague and how it really hurt a lot of consumer electronics, including those TVs. Tablets they weren't really that affected by it. But anyway, the $25 tablet the next year actually went up $5 to $30. However, that included a 1-year warranty instead of only a 90-day warranty. Another way the manufacturer would get you on Black Friday, by only giving a 90-day warranty. This doesn't cover cracked screens. But we had a special replacement plan for small electronics as such that would cover that. And we couldn't force people to buy the 1-year warranty on it, but it was strongly, strongly discouraged. And they would get a manager to really talk them into it, because they knew they're giving it to their fucking bratty kid with ism, and he's going to drop it because sensory, or I don't know what the fuck that is, shitting out cheeseburgers out his ass. But anyway, it was now $30, but included that replacement plan. But it was still a piece of garbage. We had a lot of those come in, not counting the cracked screens that the fuckers didn't turn on. Oh, and at the time, what was popular as a port was a micro USB port. You've probably dealt with these. You can only plug it in one way, and you could look at it 12 times and say, that's definitely the right way. And it simply won't fucking plug in, and then you flip it over and you say, oh shit, yeah, I did fuck up. But most of these big, fat, dumb American consumers would just jam this fucking thing in there and break the charge port, and that's the end of the tablet. That was it. So they were just pretty much total garbage that we sold, and they were simply thrown the fuck out. If they had the replacement plan on them, then they would get the money back that they spent. And they'd say, give me another. We don't have them anymore, sir. Well, what do you have? Oh, we have this one for $99. Yeah, but I only paid $30. And you get this Italian in them come out, and they're like, I want to get that $99 one for $30. That's what you have to do. And the manager would be like, no, we fulfilled the contract. You got your money back. Okay? You can't get a car and crash it and get your full fucking money back. Yeah, new car replacement. Yeah, sure it is. Right, yeah. I wonder how well that goes with car prices today and what your premiums will be. So anyway, you got Italian like that. We talked about the line wrapping around the store. Oh, so there was another time. I think some of these stories are going to be repeats that I've told in other stories over the years about Black Friday, but they're always worth a rerun. So one Black Friday, don't remember when it was, a Chinese guy who didn't speak much English came in, had our ad, and say, oh, printer, $149. Yeah, right over here, sir. And he comes with me. I said, yep, this is it. 149. Yes, after mail-in rebate, 149. That's correct. So he said, oh, okay, I buy. All right. Where I pay? Well, at this point, I don't remember what time in the morning it was. There were no windows in the building. The only view to the outside that we could see was through the front doors. You had two little fucking doors there that had windows in them you could see out. And I used to step out and watch the sunrise because it was dark when we opened. That was disgusting. Well, anyway, there was that. Then the Chinese guy said, where I pay? Well, like I said, I don't know what time in the morning it was, but the line went all the way to the back of the store and had now started wrapping around the aisles. So he waits online and he buys the printer. 2 hours later, literally 2 hours later, the guy comes back to me. He said, oh, it's a 149, a receipt, a 179. I said, yes, sir, like the sign says, and I explained to you. 199 regular price, on sale for 179, 149 after mail-in rebate. You have to get the rebate and mail it in. I can print it for you. I can give you the rebate. Oh, no, 149 after mail-in rebate. So the language barrier is, oh, return. Okay, and now he got to stand online for 2 more hours to return the printer. Over $30. He had to come out on Black Friday. It was so worth all of this. The fuck? I can't with I can't. I really can't with people. So I put the news on this morning because I was sort of egged on to create this video. And I put the news on this morning because I wanted to see all the bullshit going on. Now, granted, I did watch the news at 6:30 in the morning, and a lot of retailers weren't really opening till 8 because it was 6 and now it's 8. The news, quite honestly, had about a 30-second blurb about Black Friday. And they interviewed a couple of people. And those people, thank fuck, tended to agree with me. Don't go out on Black Friday. Just buy it online. Yes! Now, obviously, I didn't do that single-handedly. Amazon owns the market share, and you know they're going to be fucking busy. Matter of fact, today I'm waiting for a China product to show up to do a review, and as far as I know, it's not going to be here till maybe 7 p.m. And I might even wait till tomorrow to record that. So that was always fun, but it was just cool that a lot of people tended to agree with me. And then I was talking to the whiff. We sat in the kitchen and had the news on the TV there. And I was talking about that, and she mentioned the Elf on the Shelf. Now, we've heard of that before. And she said, well, what the fuck is that shit? They had one at work, and this, that, and the third about it. She said it was all like dressed up nice and the whole thing, and it sits there. Well, what's the point of that? Well, I didn't know anything about being the Jew boy. I didn't know anything about this shit, so I looked it up, and it was not today. I looked this up years ago. So I knew about it, and I said, well, how's that song go? You better not pout, you better not cry, Sinterklaas is coming to town. It was Sinterklaas when it was German, but that's another story. But what's the line in the song? He knows if you've been bad or good, so be good for goodness sake? Okay, well, in the video I had just this past Thanksgiving with a Black Friday rant, I had mentioned that the whole giving gifts and Santa and Macy's and Black Friday and the Macy's Day Parade and the whole nine, I was getting into the point of that this shit didn't go on back in the old days. Now, my memory, unfortunately, is a bit hazy on this, but from what I understood, sales were there, but not to the degree, not even like, they were like 5% maybe of the shit that goes on today. And that has no bearing on people only made pennies a week and this, that, and the thing. It has no bearing on that because the prices of goods were so much lower then as well. The story I read, 'twas the night before Christmas and all through the house, some guy who got into this fucking holiday spirit sat down and by candlelight with his quill pen penned this little night before Christmas bullshit. And he went into the local Macy's and he talked to the manager and he said, hey, read this. And people were, they would, they would give you the time of day is kind of what I'm saying. So the manager would entertain them. And he stood there and he read this story, poem, prose, whatever you want to call it. And he said, that's really nice. This is great. Can I want to make copies of this and forget how we didn't have Xerox machines and just, he made copies of it. And the guy said, yes, you can. And with every purchase, he handed these things out and they remembered Macy's next year because of that. And that's how that became a thing. And because of that, Macy's made more and more and more and more and more sales. And here we are today, through the fucking roof, okay, like that. So that's kind of, that was the start of it snowballing out of control. So getting back to the elf on the shelf, I said, well, the whole thing, so, the parents would, because the kids would be home from school, Christmas break and shit, or winter break, although I think that's later. It's been a long time since I've been out of school. But because of that, he knows who's been bad or good, so be good for goodness sake. That's not Santa who gives a shit. Newsflash, Santa's fake. It's not real. I mean, there was sort of a Saint Nick in the day, but it has no bearing. Oh, and he wore green back then. He did. Coca-Cola changed it to red because that's the Coca-Cola label is red. Okay? Marketing! Marketing! It's all made up bullshit, folks. It's all made up bullshit. Don't fall for it. So now, this bad or good, so be good for goodness sake. Well, what happens when you have 2, 3 kids at home, like your typical American family in the 1930s, 40s, 50s? Kids have little scuffles, little fights, and no, it's mine, no, it's mine, da, 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 and they get into a little fight and shit. And the parents have to break it up, and then dad just wants to sit there and read the evening paper, and mom is trying to get the kids' lunches for school ready where they're not going the next day, or whatever she's doing, around the vacuuming, I don't know, laundry, whatever the fuck it was. So they don't want the kids acting up and being like little fucking bastards. And that was the whole idea, because if the parents get so pissed off, now you're not getting that train set for Christmas, But you can't take that from me, it was Santa. Sure it was. Sure it fucking was. Well, anyway, that's what it was, okay? It was be good so we don't have to deal with your kids' shit. So we could just enjoy this, and the tree would be on, and lit. Maybe you got a fire in the fireplace. The whole what you see on TV and in the movies, and if you do it in your own home, great. And it's a nice, warm, cozy feeling. I get it. Okay. But that's what they wanted, was peace and fucking quiet. So then the elf on the shelf came out. And what does it do? Look, there's an elf on the shelf. Well, what's the elf do? The kid said. He watches you and your sister and your other brother from another mother. Well, that didn't exist then. But he watches you. And remember, the elf, Santa's elves, you know, the elf talks to Santa. Because, of course, in the middle of Christmas, when one guy has to cover pretty much the entire fucking planet in one night while all the kids are asleep, and this just magically fucking happens, you sometimes don't even get the fucking mail. And let's also think about that. On a regular, normal day, nice sunny day, whatever, and your mail comes at whatever time it normally does, and you probably have your regular mailman. Well, if you go over to the next town, it's not Jim the mailman. It's John the mailman. They have plenty of mailmen, mail persons, mail women, mail its. I mean, well, M-A-I-L. It's whatever the fuck you want to be these days. Makes no difference, okay? I'm not out to offend anybody on that. But there's lots of mail delivery beings. I won't even say people, because some of you won't even fucking identify with that goddamn bullshit, because that's too much to fucking put on your plate. Well, anyway, so Santa, of course, would stop because your particular elf on the shelf in Buttsniff fucking Iowa said, hey, Santa, these kids have been bad. The elf on the shelf was a sentinel for the parents. And the kids are dumb and they believed it. The elf on the shelf talks to Santa and that. No, it's just, hey, no, we can't fight. The elf is watching. That's all it was. He knows if it's been bad or good. It's all made up bullshit. Okay. Elf on the Shelf. So we did that. We talked about that. Oh, that was a good one. Oh, yeah. So 2 last ones. And then we'll wrap this up, actually. Not too bad. So one Black Friday, I think around the time that Delroy was around. Anybody remember the story of Delroy? There's a link in the prescription. Another sort of Black Friday type deal. We had other, if you don't get your TV or you don't get the this or the that or the computer that was on sale or whatever the fuck it was, there was other stuff, such as the verbatim flash drives that we had for like $10 or whatever it was. Those were a deal at the time for the size and the price. There was no mail-in rebate. It was sort of a lost leader, as they call it, to get you in the store, and you'll end up buying other shit. So we would eat the cost on that. But other things had mail-in rebates, and a lot of this stuff on the holidays, at least back in my day, relied on mail-in rebates to give you that sweet price that says Visa, MasterCard, American Express, Discover, Diners Club. Fucking we'll take anything, long as it goes through, So, so anyway, we had these rebates. Well, they tried, that's saying it loosely, they tried to print out all of the rebates, and they would print them and bring it. We have one of them big copiers. You walk up with the glass and you put the thing and you hit the button and that. And you could roll off 50 copies in no time. Well, we had 1 or maybe 2 items we were missing the rebates for. And what we would do is they'd come in for this, $39 item after $20 mail-in rebate, and you give it to them, happy holidays, oh, and here's the mail-in rebate. And we'd hand them the rebate. And of course, it was up to them to mail it in. A lot of people didn't, never did get the price, and never complained because big fat dumb American consumer. But we would have the rebates to hand to them. This will make it that price. Happy holidays. Enjoy standing online for 2 fucking hours, you fucking goof. So what did we have? Well, we had 50 available of whatever this item was. It's inconsequential. But what did we have to print this? We had our store terminal there, and we had a laser printer. It was a basic laser printer. It was the HP like 1012. It was meant for those people that would print occasionally, didn't need color, and were fed up with inkjets. And the toner would last a decent amount of time compared to an inkjet. And you could run the toner cartridge in this thing for easily a year, maybe even more, depending, of course, on how much you print, at 5% coverage on the page. We talked about that one in the past. I don't even remember what I called that one, but anyway. I said, we're missing these 2 rebates. All right, well, print it out, make copies of it. So I said, well, fuck that shit. Why am I going to go do that and then walk up to the front of the store? They're already patronizing me for the day, so why should I give half even a shit? So I said, oh, all right, well, we got extra paper here, right? Fuck it. The store pays for the toner. Yeah, it's a lot more costly to get little toner cartridges for this little laser printer than it is for the big Xerox machine that took these huge things that would last a really long time. So 50 copies. Okay, copies, 50, print, processing, and the printer would whir up, and there it goes, and it would go, cha-ching, and it would start loading the page through. And this did 10 pages a minute, maybe something. It wasn't a speed demon by any stretch of the imagination. So it would take the page, and it would go through the printer, and it would come out. And then it would suck up the next page. And it would print the page, and it would come out. We have time before the store opens. And then, oh yeah, we need that other rebate too, so 50 copies of that one. Okay, no problem. I might as well just queue it up, and we'll just let the printer do its thing until it's done. And even if we did open, I mean, I'm sorry, it's printing right now, sir. It'll be just a few seconds. And people were, they were okay with a few seconds, Except the printer overheated. Yep, printer overheated. It wasn't designed for that kind of duty cycle and laying down that amount of toner. Plus, it was sort of in a drawer, so ventilation, who needs that? I mean, it went a good 45 out of these 100 pages I was printing before it started, losing its breath. I mean, it was spirited in the beginning. It certainly was. It did the best it could. But after that, we're just waiting, and the fucking green and orange lights are blinking back and forth like, oh, error, big problem here. And the printer's just sitting there, and the fan in it is running. It's trying to exhaust the heat, and finally, temperature sensor says, okay, let's print again. Here we go. Sucks up the next page, and it starts going through the printer, and the printer's like, I can't. And then there it sits again with the orange green light flash. So that was good. We overheated the printer, and of course the rebate was like a nice full page, lot of black, graphic, the whole thing. So it used a lot of time. I was really happy that happened. That was nice. And we had one last thing, and this will wrap it up. I guess I'm doing good on the water. We had this guy I can't remember his name. I think his name was Chris. So he was sort of fat, dumb, and bald. I guess he had early onset baldness, and he's one of those people who would shave the rest, so he's completely Mr. Clean. He was a nice enough guy, but if you pushed his buttons, you didn't want to be around him. I don't know what the altercation was at all. I don't know if there was a customer involved or what the deal was, but the store manager was talking to him and he got a little pissed at him and raised his voice, and the manager got pissed and shit like that. And Chris got so pissed off, he said, "I quit!" And you heard, he said it loud enough that the whole fucking store was like, "What the fuck?" Everybody's looking. And the manager was just like stunned. Because it wasn't so much that he quit, it was that he quit on Black Friday. And it wasn't so much that he quit, and he quit on Black Friday, but he, I don't know, embarrassed the manager, embarrassed the store. And were there people that said, well, fuck that, if they're treating their employees like that, I'm not buying here, I'll go somewhere else. Were there people that put this shit down and left? Well, I guarantee you there were, because they didn't want to stand on the line to check out. None of these Black Friday purchases were ever thought through. Like I said in the video on Thanksgiving about the rickety table that you were putting that 85-inch TV on that you had from the 70s, just so it doesn't fall. That rickety table there, it wasn't thought through. So now, $1,000 for this TV doesn't mean anything, because now it's more than $1,000 because you have to get a piece of furniture to put it on. Yeah, it's got its stupid little stand, and if you didn't want to do that, well, fuck it, I'll mount it on the wall. Well, now you got to buy a bracket for it. The sure doesn't fucking come with it, with its 2 HDMI ports and no buttons on the fucking thing. And you have to use the remote. Oh, none of these purchases were ever thought through. And the whole day was a bunch of bullshit because everybody did their run to Starbucks or Dunkin' or wherever else, maybe even a local deli, whatever it was. They all got their run for people with their coffee so they could stand out in the damn cold and save $20 that they already wasted on coffee. Now, I'm not counting if you just buy this on a regular basis, but if you go out, the whole family, all fucking 4 of you, 3 of you, 5 of you, 9 of you, okay, and it's $5 a pop, and you're saving $45, you saved nothing. Have mom go on an off day when dad's home to watch the 9 kids, the 8 kids, the 7 kids, whatever the fuck. You know, have her go and buy the damn TV and not worry about the $45 to go out in this Black Friday shit. And God forbid you do like a fucking Home Alone type deal and you lose little Sam in the store and you get back in the fucking oversized SUV that now the kids have to sit holding the TV on their heads because the fucking because you need the third row seat. You know, come on, people. Just nothing thought through, and nothing irks me more. And I definitely talked about this one at one point or another. I don't remember the video, so no link to that. Is the gifts that people get to give somebody a gift because they don't know what to get them. I once got a pocket watch. Now, I was interested in them, and I thought it would be cool to have one, but it certainly was not going to be something that I was going to be carrying around. I had a fucking binary watch. Okay, I was with the times, being the nerd, and I got a pocket watch from Duke to Do. That came in a nice case. I have it somewhere. I don't know if the damn thing ever even fucking worked. I don't even think it was a wind-up. I think it took a fucking battery. It's long dead. I should go look for it just for shits and grins. But anyways, don't give people a giftsy gift, as I call it. That's what they make gift cards for. Anyway, that's all I got. Every couple of years, I get this Black Friday bullshit boiling in my veins, and I have to vent to you. I hope you enjoyed this. Remember, it's all marketing, retailers, made-up stories, and bullshit is all what not only Black Friday, but this whole holiday not is about, but unfortunately has become. And that's sad. But you big fat dumb American consumers did it to yourself. With that, I bid you farewell. Thank you very kindly for watching. I greatly appreciate it. Make sure you click like, make sure you click subscribe, and take care. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.